Hi again, I'm happy to welcome you all to the teachMe Office channel. My name is Alex, and today we're going to learn something more about Microsoft Excel 2016. So we are going to learn how to enter data, how to create a table, how to change data formats, how to add basic calculations, and finally we are going to take a look at how it is possible to visualize the data. So what you can see here is one of our results. So this is a data table that we are going to build. And finally, based on that table, we are able to visualize something, which you can see here by entering or by changing the names of the persons. We apply functionality to visualize our data. Okay, let's start with our tutorial. Okay, the first thing you do is, of course, entering some data. This can be any kind of data right now. It can be texts, it can be numbers, anything you like, you can just enter in this blank spreadsheet. What you should do before starting to create a data table is you should think about creating some speaking headlines. Like, for example, what I've entered just right now is employee year month, sales item 1 to 3. These are headlines that are actually saying something and later are easily to be referred to. Okay, so you start entering the headlines and then you can enter some more data. Of course, navigating through Excel is using with the mouse, you can navigate through Excel, or a handy trick is also using the keyboard. For example, if I just enter a name and click and push the enter button on my keyboard, then the cursor moves down. And if I push the shift button, the cursor moves to the right. So using this technique, we can quite easily enter some data. Okay, so what I'm starting with is with names of my employees, for example, and now copying the names into some multiple rows by pushing Ctrl Z, Ctrl V. Okay, so now we have copied in 5 times our employee names. Let's continue with the year. We are looking at 2020. So we are going to use just 1 year, copying and inserting in all rows. And what's quite cool in Excel, if you enter like January and now the next month is being done by Excel automatically. If you just click and pull down, you saw that little in the bottom right corner. And we're just copying the rest inside as well. Let's continue with some example data. Sales item is going to be just, we are not specifically talking about one specific item for this example. We just pretend that we have sold an amount of sales item 1. So I'm really just entering some example data. And this is really just numbers that I'm entering in my keyboard and always clicking or pushing the enter button to go down with the cell selection. Okay, so we have now some example data for sales item 1. And now comes something quite interesting and important to know. So far, we have not created really a table. So that's just some data that we entered in our spreadsheet. But in order to use some more of Excel functionalities, which is helping us to autocomplete and to work with formulas, we should create a table out of this. And this is how you do it. You go on Home and Format as Table. First of all, of course, you select your area. Yes, my table has rows. And now you have created your first table. Let's make some lighter colors here to make it easier to see the data. So this is now your first table, which is referring to table 1. And now I'm going to show you a nice little trick. So if you start entering a formula by starting with the equal sign, that's always specifying that now we are entering a formula. And in that formula, we just want to use sales item 1 in cell D2 and also in all the other rows, so D3, D4, and so on. And we just multiply that by a factor like 1.5. And if you click on enters, Excel is automatically copying the formula downwards in your complete column of that table. So, and this wouldn't be possible if you would have not created a table before. Now, another trick we use in our formula, which is, for example, round down. It is rounding down the number with a number of digits 0. So after the comma, we don't want, we want to round. That's why we need to enter the comma and 0, which is saying that after the comma, we are going to round down to the number. Okay, and also that is applied to all cells in that specific column in my table. Now we continue with the next column. I just do the same trick here. I apply a multiplicator to a factor to that sales item 2, so we just double sales item 2 and have sales item 3. And now what we are going to do for each employee, we are going to use the filter formula. Like I can use filtering for Alex and Leon, and for those I would like to specify one sales area, like Florida, for example. I copy and paste to all the other cells. Okay, and if I remove the filter again, select all, okay, then you see that every time Alex and Leon is mentioned in that row, we have sales area Florida. Now we do the same exercise for Bob and just enter another sales area, for example, Texas. We copy and paste it, and we have it for Bob. And same goes for Mark and Anna. We filter those and we enter another sales area. So that's a nice trick. I keep using that trick to filter the data that is getting the same entries, and then just copying and pasting it. Way easier than when going top down and enter every time a new text. So what I'm doing right now is I would like to see all the March sales results. And this is where I have found out that I've made a mistake. So now you can stop the video, think about what could be the mistake here. And well, the mistake is, of course, I have just I've used Excel to autocomplete January to May, but in fact I should have copied January for all the names, because this is the logic I'm doing here. So I would like to have January for all the employees, February for all the employees, and this continued until May, which is actually making a lot more sense than what I did before. So I'm quickly fixing that. March, copy, pasting for all the relevant employee rows. April, copy, pasting as well. And same goes for May. So we have now sales data from January to May for 5 employees in 3 different sales areas, as we are looking at 3 different sales items. Great. All right, let's remove the filter. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to add some columns to our table. by clicking into the column E with the left click on your mouse, and then right click and click on Insert, which is inserting another column, right? So again, Insert is giving you the column between sales item 1 and sales item 2. We changed the name of that column because now what I want to do is I would like to see the cash that we earn with the selling of those items. And we do the same job for item 2 and item 3. Change the name. What's the amount of dollars that we can earn by selling those items? All right, job is done. Yeah, and that's now a handy trick here. So as you can see, we can automatically size the column size by just clicking in between the row or in between the columns. You select the area and in between double click and it's automatically sizing to the minimum space that is needed. It's quite handy. You can also manually change the size of your rows or of your cells. Like I just did, I select my area, right click, row height, let's say it's 20 something, and then we have a little bit more space. Also, what I'm showing now is the alignment functionality. We can align each and every cell at once. Left alignment, right alignment. This is now the middle alignment. Let's again select the complete table. You can do this by clicking Control and A. It's giving you the complete table. You can change the font, of course. This is how you do it. You select what you want to change. You change the font of your strings. You change the size of your font. You can do a lot of different things in Excel in terms of formatting. Yes, I like this one more. So I'm back here. Of course, you can make your word fat. You can make it cursive. You can underline it. All different kinds of operations when it comes to font are applicable. So that's really quite simple. Play around with that functionality. That's really great. Also here it's quite easy to change the borders of your cells. It's always the same. You select what you would like to be changed and then you apply the functionalities in Excel. Now coming back to my formula, you remember I wanted to find out the amount of money that we can make. So now we pretend that sales item 1, let's say, gives us $100. So I multiply the sales item 1 by $100. And as you can see, I'm now in the general data format, not the dollar data format. So what I supposed to do, I can either click on the dollar sign or I change to, for example, currency or accounting, which would really make more sense for us. Okay, but this is the same. It's giving you automatically the accounting data format. All right, so now I again select all cells that are interesting for me, click on currency, and now the data format has been changed quite easily. Another nice functionality in Excel is Format Painter. If you click on this Format Painter, you want to copy the format into what? Into this area, and it is copying the format in here. So now it's already the currency format, and now you can start entering any kind of number and it's automatically going to translate it into a currency format. Okay, now let's continue with the the other calculations of the sales item 2 amount and sales item 3 amount. It's the same story. And now we also have 3 additional columns with the sales item amount, the earnings that we make for each employee in each month and in or for each item. Okay, now outside the table, what we could do is, for example, we could just enter maybe a total column. This is now happening outside the table, but you don't have to do it outside. So I'm selecting the data what I would like to use. I added all the 3 incomes, and then you just click and pull down for each row, which is giving you then the total amount of each employee in each month. Okay, same here. What we can do here is we use the auto sum functionality, which is automatically summarizing all the numbers above in that table. If you now click and pull to the right, you see that it's also auto summing all the other columns in that table. Of course, we have not formatted those cells, so they are still general. Let's change them. You see, if I format from here, it's taking over also the border and the color. This is not what we want. We wanted to have it outside the table. So, and this is how it looks like. So you can, outside your table, even have some additional calculations like summarizing or like creating totals. And this is the complete total. So we have earned more than $400,000. Now this is now the not table option. Of course, what you can do as well is you just create another column by clicking into the table, right click, insert, and add column to the right, which is giving you automatically another column. You change the name of that column to total in table. And here you can really see the benefit of it. So you add your formula equals that 3 items. In addition, you click on enter and it's automatically doing the calculation for all rows in your table. While on the right side, you remember we needed to pull down from top to bottom. Okay, it's giving me a hint, but we can ignore that for now. It's in case you would like to undo this operation. But for me, it looks quite all right. So we have created the first table. Let's zoom out a little. That's how it looks like. It's quite easy to learn, but you still need some practice, of course. Now it's time to visualize it. My recommendation is always to do the pivot chart because it just gives you even more functionality than the normal charts. Okay, the normal charts are more or less static, while the pivot charts you can add slicers to that so that you can slice and drill your data, which is quite cool. So you select all the fields that you would like to be in the pivot chart later. I just select all of them, and as you can see here, it's creating a new sheet for me with the pivot chart table. And the field list on the right is quite important for you. This is the pivot chart field list. So these are all our headlines. That's why it's important to use very speakable names to know what we actually meant with that. So using column 1 to 3, column ABC is not very speakable. I would always use the real header titles for that. So if you just click on your pivot chart fields, it is selecting the data that you would like to represent in a visual. And here you have the categories, that's the month. And in the legend, your series would be the values of your sales item. So this is what we just selected down here. Currently, it's the sum of our sales items. This is exactly what we want to have. And what you can do as well is you can just drag and drop basically this fields here in order to change the order. And in case you would like to remove one of the filters. Oh, first I show you how to add now a filter, which is the employee, not filter, but really another category. So you can also look for columns, months, and employees. And if you drag and drop it to the outside, you just remove that again. This is really what we want. We have the months and we have the sum of sales for item 1, 2, and 3. Now, what I'm going to do is what am I going to do? I'm going to change the chart type because I wanted to actually create a line chart. But you have all kind of different visual possibilities here. What I'm going to do is creating a line with markers. Okay, and that's how it looks like. Okay, so right now you can see we have January until May, and we have also the blank. Now, what is the blank about? Let's take a look back what that is. It's not really what we want. Okay, that's the outside row, the total row, which is here, the blank. And we don't want that, basically. The reason for that is because we have just chosen all those columns. But we can do a quick fix. We can just filter this blank out and it disappears from our visual representation as well. Okay, so now we are going to copy and paste in this visual because we don't want the pivot table, we just want the visual. We can hide the buttons here if we don't like them. And we could format legend to put it in a different position. I prefer now the bottom one, but of course it's up to you if you would like to keep it or if you would like to change it. But the important thing here to say is you can really change your visual as you like. So really Excel gives you a lot of first of all, a lot of designs that you could choose from and also beautiful designs, but you could also change colors, names, legends, everything basically is able to be changed here in Excel. And now we add a slicer, and you will now understand what that is. For example, I would like to slice for each employee individually. And you know we have 5 employees. Now what we see here in this graphics is the summarized view for all employees. But in fact, I would maybe like to pick out some of the employees and see the sales and development of that certain employee, right? And this is how it looks like. Okay, the total and the blank we are going to ignore for a moment. We are going to remove that in a second by clicking on slicer settings. We don't want the headers and we don't, yeah, so the headers disappeared and we don't want the without data to be displayed here. Okay, so everything that's without data I have just removed. So we just have our 5 employee names. We can add once again the design as well for that slicer. So it really looks similar to a graphical or visualization. And it's already quite, I would say, useful and a nice visualization. Now what I would like to add is another visualization, and the easiest way to do so is just to create a copy of that pivot chart Excel sheet. And this is how I did. You right click in it and you just create a copy, or you can hold Control and drag and drop it to the right or to the left, which is automatically creating a copy as well. So you click Control and drop it to the right. It's giving you an exact copy of that sheet 10. Okay, speaking about names, so the other spreadsheet here, these other ones that I shown in the very beginning, we can just hide them to not confuse ourselves, hide them all. And speaking about names, of course, we should give our Excel sheet some names definitely. So we take a look at data first, and this is the line chart. Okay, we need to choose now a name because we have used line chart already. So let's say it's line chart V1 for version 1, version 2, and bar chart version 2 as well because we have already one version. Okay. And the good thing is now you did already quite some work here. What you need to change is in your pivot table, that's your pivot table. You click inside, you go to Analyze, you click on Field List. You change the fields that you would like to be displayed and visualized because now we want to display the sales items amount, so the cash that we are going to earn there. So you click on those amount for sales item 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And the pivot table is not considering our data format, unfortunately, because we are able to just change it once again to currency. And now we have our currency here. Now, what I wanted to do is a stacked bar chart. We go on design, chart, change chart type, clustered column, stacked columns. Okay, not bars. Yeah, bars would be from the left to the right. Excel is referring to columns in that matter. So let's pick the stacked columns, which is giving us the amount of money earned each month, summarized for all employees. So let's say these are our only employees we have. That would be the company earnings, for example. Let's put it again to the bottom, so it's not taking so much space. Top right, nope. Bottom, yeah. So we can maximize our columns. Great. What I did is just copying the complete chart to our data sheet. You could also just use another Excel sheet. This is used quite often, just to copy it into, for example, a dashboard sheet where you cannot see any figures, but really just visualizations. And as you can see now, yeah, great. So the reports are already connected. So if I change the names, also the reports are changing. Okay, so I now selected all the employees and the report is changing automatically. And this would be not possible with not having pivot charts. If we would just use static graphs, it's also good, but it's as I said, it's static, and pivot charts are not harder to learn, but have more handy functionality. So what I'm doing now is just what I was talking about. I'm just copying it into the dashboard. That's all right. We could have just copied it directly into a dashboard sheet. So we don't need to copy it twice. But this is how we did. I wanted to just demonstrate you how many possibilities there are. Oh, now I'm trying to align a little bit to make it more beautiful. Let's say play with the size, play with the position of your slicer. Okay. Oh, we have some more space here. If you go on view, you can get rid of your grid lines, which is giving you even more, a better dashboard feeling. Yeah, like this. You can add a text box to specify what we are looking at. Sales dashboard, for example. Change your font, make it fat. Remove the outline of your text box or add an outline, however you prefer. I prefer always the lean version of it, so without outline. And what is quite cool as well are the icons that you can add here. And in the past, Microsoft Excel didn't have so beautiful icons like now. With this version, and I think also with one version before 2013, this is 2016, you have beautiful icons to add. I would always choose an icon that is speaking and gives you a nice look on your dashboard. So this is already looking not too bad. Of course, I mean, it's a 15 minutes job with quite some easy tricks. We can make it even more beautiful. This is what we are going to learn in our next session, by the way. But now I want to add another slicer just to make it even cooler. Let's add the months as well. Okay, so that we are able to not only pick the employees, but also maybe hide or unhide certain months that are maybe not interesting for us. This could be done to any of the headlines, so you can also look at the years. You could look up on our sales areas, for example, and add your slicers, just like I did here. Okay, so these are the months. Let's make some space so that those slicers are beautifully aligned. On the right side, you have this nice like control panel. And as you can see now, what can happen is that your bottom chart is not connected to your second slicer. So if I just change there, it would just change the top graph. So you would go on report connection, and there you can see you have the checkbox to the line chart. And if you click on that, it's connected. By the way, you can, if you just click into one of the slicer, you would just select 1 month by clicking and holding Control on your keyboard. You can select multiple selections from your slicers. Great. So this is our outcome of our half an hour work here. We learned how to create data, to put it in a table, apply simple calculations, and finally have a nice visualization. Okay, if you like this video, I would be very happy if you would subscribe my channel. I try to publish at least every week a new video with new cool dashboards and Excel functionalities. So click on like and subscribe my channel. I would be very happy. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good day.